This is the tale of a regular guy who has been running for just over a year. And this year, I just ran my first marathon. 42 kilometers. Crazy shit. How did I find myself running one? Well, that's why I'm here. In this video, you'll be learning my experience running the biggest marathon in Nigeria, how and why I decided to run, what it even takes to complete 42 kilometers of running non-stop, and some tips on how you can do the same as soon as possible. So if that sounds like something you would like to listen to, stick around and find out. Let's get it. So after registering for the marathon, I had about 100 days to prepare. And 100 days may sound like much, but knowing the gravity of what I was about to take on, I decided to do some research. After watching literally every video I could find on YouTube on running your first marathon, here's what I found out. Literally anybody can wake up in the morning. Today, I'm running a marathon. But if you plan on crossing the finish line and doing that without cramping or the least amount of injuries possible, then you should train. And the recommended time is somewhere around 4 months. And personally, I had just a little bit over 3 months, so I couldn't waste any more time. So how do you actually prepare and train for a marathon? You need a few things, or at least I needed a few things that you could also use if you plan on running a marathon. First of all, you need something to track your runs. It doesn't have to be a wristwatch, it can be a phone. So you just take the phone during your runs and the said app will track your runs. Now, the app I personally used is Nike Run Club. For me, that's basically the best app to record your runs, especially if you're using a smartphone. Why is it the best app? Number one, because it's free. Like, no payments, totally free. You just search NRC on your App Store or Google Play Store, download the app, and start running. Second, you need a running shoe, which is literally any shoe you feel comfortable in. That's basically feels like a running shoe to you. You don't need to overthink it or go on a shopping spree. Thirdly, you need a plan. You can't just keep running frequently. That's progress, that's better than nothing, but you need a structured plan. Another reason that makes Nike Run Club one of the best apps to record your runs on is they have personalized plans for different distance races. For a 5K, for a 10K, for a half marathon, for a full marathon. This means they have a plan that can tell you what particular runs to do per week to get you to running your best marathon. And that was perfect for me. So I headed up to the Nike Run Club and clicked on their marathon plan. Normally, I think it's an 18 weeks plan, but I basically had 14 weeks to the start of my marathon. So I had to make use of that. First thing you do is impute the date of your marathon. So the app knows when you're running your marathon race and they structure the timeline to follow that. So for example, if you register 1 month before your marathon, it starts from 4 weeks away instead of 18 weeks away. You get me? Basically, how the plan looks is it gives you 5 runs per week, 3 easy runs, 1 speed run, and 1 long run. The aim of the easy runs is to teach yourself to run with a low heart rate. It teaches you to keep your heart rate low and calm and teaches you to recover while you run. Now, the speed run is just to teach you to increase your pace. It teaches you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It teaches you your limits. And then the long runs. Now, the long runs test your distance, which is very important because if you're going to be running 42 kilometers, you need to know that you're making progress. Enough of the lectures. How the training actually feel? Running is humbling and elevating at the same time. Some days you run 10 kilometers and it feels like you are literally about to have a heart attack. And then the next day, you could do a 15-kilometer run and it feels like you are cruising in the park. That's just running for you. A bunch of my training runs were done in Port Harcourt. I was really traveling a lot at that point in time. So I ended up doing a lot of runs out of Port Harcourt. And this was where I found out what consistency actually means. There was a time I had to travel in December to Abuja for my friend's wedding. I had to pick up something at Nsukka, so my route was Nsukka, Abuja, back to PH. So first of all, I traveled from Port Harcourt to Enugu, Nsukka, I stayed 2 days there and I was able to run once. That was a very good run. Till today, I still remember that run, and it was last year. Off memory, it was a 12-kilometer speed run, and I did it in the UNN Stadium track. Then I had it on my schedule to run while I was at Abuja for the wedding. Got to Abuja for the wedding, stayed there about, I think, 2 or 3 days, and I didn't have enough time to squeeze in the run. But this is where it gets crazy. On the day I left Abuja after the wedding, we were traveling already, like bus parked already, and the bus decided to stop for fuel. We got to the filling station and there was a long queue. Crazy. And I thought to myself, well, since I wasn't able to do the run at ABJ, why not squeeze in the run here right now at this filling station? Mind you, I was in Crocs, but also mind you, I had it in my bucket list to tick out I ran at Abuja. So my motivation was quite high. You won't believe it. I stepped out of the bus in my Crocs and I said, at this particular time, I can't be looking at my marathon plan to find out what run I should do. I'm just going to do any run I can do. So I found a route to run to and fro in the filling station backyard, and I was able to squeeze in a 1 kilometer easy run, running round and round a filling station while my bus that was traveling to Port Harcourt was getting full. There were a lot of good memories like that on my run prep, like when I traveled to the village for Christmas and I somewhat convinced my brother to run with me. Although he was a pain in the ass throughout the run, he was just literally complaining so much. But it was fun.
Also, there was a run where I decided to run from the last day of 2024 into the first day of 2025. And I literally started the run in 2024. I ended the run in 2025.
Those are memories that probably won't leave me till the day I die. I feel like I'm starting to sound all fun and games. But to be sincere, the marathon training wasn't all fun and games. At some point, it got really crazy. Like one time where I just gotten back from traveling, I got back on a Friday, and the Saturday after that, according to my marathon prep, I was somehow meant to run a 30-kilometer long run. I got really scared about the 30-kilometer run, and my mind kept pushing it further and further. Finally, I had to do it. And when I did it, it wasn't friendly. It took a lot out of me. Probably the worst run I've ever done, because I felt so tired that the last 5 kilometers of that run, I had to walk. The next long run I had after that 30-kilometer long run was a 32-kilometer long run. And that was the last run of my marathon plan, and also the longest long run in the marathon plan. So if you are taking the marathon plan, the longest run you would do at any point in time is 32 kilometers. And that's what's recommended before the marathon. So what that means is I was about to enter my marathon week. Marathon week spans from Sunday to Saturday. Saturday being the marathon day. I was at Port Harcourt and I had to get to Lagos because that was where the marathon was taking place. So I packed my bags literally the day before, and the next day I was on my way to Lagos.
Just let it breathe. Let it breathe, Let it breathe. One time, let it breathe. Yo. Like, if I can do better, then I'll be better. Rolling in the deep, I need to breathe better. I see demons in my sleep, I need to sleep better.
When I got to Lagos, the marathon training didn't stop. Although you'll be reducing the volume of training that you do, training doesn't stop on the week of your marathon. And I did 4 times that week. But before that, I had a couple things I had to achieve in Lagos. Just like I had a bucket list for Abuja. First on my list was I needed to contact the organizers of the marathon to get my BIP number. Now, the BIP number is your registration number for a marathon or any race. It's literally your identification for that marathon race. If you are like a celebrity runner or something, then maybe that becomes your name. But for we, the non-Kenyans, or I should say the non-elite runners, it's just a number. So I had to go to Teslim Balogun Stadium to collect my BIP number. The second on my list was I had to collect some packages I had ordered months ago that were scheduled to arrive at Lagos at that point in time. And the other thing on my list was I needed to get a new running shoe. Now, that is quite controversial. The rule is don't do anything new before your marathon. So whatever shoe you are meant to use to run the marathon, you ideally want to have bought the shoe long before the marathon. Use that particular shoe in training, throughout training, or at least the last months of training. Anything you literally want to do on the marathon, they should be things that you have done in training. You should not be trying anything new on marathon day. But I couldn't stick to that rule for the shoe because I had run so much during the training that I had literally killed the running shoe I had and I needed a new one. But still, the disadvantages of wearing a new shoe on the marathon still linger. But I had a plan on how to clear that up. friend of mine, Victor, told me about the Puma store at Ikeja City Mall, and I was like, cool, that sounds like what I'm looking for. And we met up there, and I was ready to shop for my first official marathon shoe. After looking at a bunch of shoes that he had, I decided to settle for the Puma Deviate 2, which is quite a decent shoe. It did cost quite an amount of money, but my first marathon, so I didn't feel no way. So what was my plan? To turn a new shoe into an old shoe before the marathon. Literally, it's nothing wise or anything, but I just plan to use the shoe to run every minute of my week training for the last week of the marathon. So I ran 4 times that week, and I made sure to use that particular shoe while running so I could familiarize my leg with the stride and how the shoe generally feels, and figure out if there was any problem with the shoe whatsoever, so I don't get surprised on marathon day. So yeah, let's go straight to the day before the marathon, and I'll see you after that. So currently is the day before the marathon. I just checked into a hotel room because I live quite far from the start line, which is at Tesla Balogun Stadium. I live at Ojo, Lagos, so I had to lodge here. It's quite like a kilometer away from the start line. Basically, we don't have much today. I didn't bring my laptop here, so little distractions. All I have to do is cut my hair, get some carbs, because I've been doing some carb loading for my energy on that day, link up with a few friends that want to come and say hi to me before the marathon. I don't think I'll be able to film the marathon, or I doubt, because I really want to focus on it. I know it takes a lot of focus, but I'll do my best to film it. If I can't film it, then I'll just explain how it went. The process of preparing for this marathon has taught me discipline. It has taught me consistency. And although I probably skipped on a few runs, I can say I did this quite well. And I now understand why they say the marathon is just a celebration of the training you've done. Tomorrow is the day of my celebration, and I can't wait to celebrate. The marathon. Do I have the balls for this? Let's rephrase that. The marathon. Does it have the balls for me? So it's the morning of the marathon. Literally rushing. It's 4:54. I woke up late, meant to be there by 5:30, so it's just crazy. Let's see how that goes. I clock the pagans femsin, then no sabi the boy. Really wanna roll with a man them, cause they will say sure shit. Maybe up your weak Latin, she don't sabi the boy. Really wanna chill with a man them, got her coming for more. I'm an OG, don't chat to me shit. Always on roll with a popular bitch. Been on the low, left my throne.
So about starting. So at this point, it was Tessie at the start line. And just when we thought there were no Kenyans for this particular race, they opened the stadium and a bunch of Kenyans started pouring out. They were massaging their feet in there or something, getting them ready.
So they just unleashed the Kenyans, bro. They just unleashed the Kenyans. 1 minute to go.
But since the Kenyans were ready, I decided to get ready. And that's it. The race had begun.
In a bar at the package like I don't know Sapa with the manage back then for Jota from satellite at the bog we catch just shining soon. Never alone, I whip my goon. Ask him cold and black as June. All day flex like what he do. Yo, go on paddy too. Move like a snake, ready to take. Spin on my cake, Moro we make. Come with a white, live with a black. Still my bay, I got no boo. Then no sabi the boy. BK Leo. But they will say sure shit.
Let's go.
And I survived. Although the organizers of the show decided it was a brilliant idea to put the finish line 400 meters away from an actual marathon mark, I survived.
The man of the hour. Now my champo, now my winner be this. Now my champo.
They say money don't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you love. Money don't fill this emptiness. But I want all the money in the world. Money don't buy you happiness. Money can buy you love. Money don't fill this emptiness. But I want all the money. Ooh-wee. I want all the money in the world. Yeah, yeah. All the money.
Yeah, so just finished a 5-kilometer run. So basically the marathon was quite like very tough. When I think of it, I had to go through like a bunch of phases. I think the first phase was when I started off and I was literally just telling myself, it's too early, calm down. So at around 5 kilometers, I clocked this white guy in front of me checking his watch. And I could tell that we were running at the same pace, obviously, because he had been in front of me for like a while. Why I noticed him was most times I check my watch, I look in front of me, there's someone in front of me doing the same thing. So before kilometer 7, I caught up with him and we were running side by side. I didn't say anything at first, but then I decided to say hi. I looked to him and I gave him a fist bump. He looked at me, gave me the fist bump and said, "What pace are you running on?" I'm trying to get his accent here, yeah? "What pace are you running on?" And I looked at him and said, "I'm trying to target 6:24 as an average for the marathon." And he said, "Same here, 6:25. I said, nice. For the next 20 kilometers, I should say, we stuck together. And that felt nice. I could say he was a big part of my marathon because if I didn't meet him and he wasn't running beside me, I might have come in slower on the marathon. Because there are times when I had to ease myself. And when you're done, you look in front of you and I use him as a marker. So I'm like, if I kept running, that is where I should be. Just so I could catch up with him before like the next kilometer. And then we take it from there. But at the end of the day, he stuck with me till around kilometer 26 or 25. He kind of like started getting tired, I noticed. And he dropped. At some point, I kept like raising my hands to clap because he was behind me so he could see that. But at some point, I looked behind me and I saw him walking like he was done. And I'm like, whew. Crazy. 29 kilometers. Legs destroyed totally. My mental breaking. The road was getting more lonely than ever. I had just lost the running partner I found on the run. Everything felt crazy. But somewhere around 36 kilometers to 37 kilometers was where I faced the real devil. My mind was breaking down. My legs had failed me because they were not moving as effectively as they should be moving. They felt like they were gone and they were going to break any moment from now. At that point in time, I felt like crying. Maybe I might not complete this marathon. Maybe I fall by the roadside. Then I started thinking about all my training because, to be sincere, the training was the hardest part of this. Waking up every day, having to run 5 times a week. It's crazy. I felt so emotional, yeah, that it felt like I was going to cry. Sincerely, it felt like I was going to cry. I started mumbling chants. And what I kept saying was, my legs can't feel me. I trained for this. My legs can't feel me. I trained for this. Believe it or not, I said that for more than 3 kilometers straight. I remember like buses that pick people up when they're tired going past me and people from the buses making comments like, you don't tire now, enter. And I just kept my chants going on. I just kept saying, my legs can't feel me. I trained for this. The road was becoming lonely. Most people were getting picked up and put in buses. And I wasn't going to be that guy. Kilometer 40 felt like the finish line. It felt like at every step, I could see the finish line. And while I was running, thinking, man, this is the longest 2 kilometers of my life, I heard my name, PK. And I turned around and I saw my fucking brother, Victor. I turned around and he saw me. He says, look at this fucking slow runner.
Look at this slow ass runner. PK, look at this slow ass runner. Look at this slow ass runner.
Obviously, he was joking. Yeah, it's a marathon. You're not meant to be sprinting and you get me. So I turn around and I see you. The excitement is crazy, but you should probably watch the clip. You wouldn't notice the excitement because I was so stressed and so tired. I look at my watch and it says 1 kilometer to go. And I say to myself, this is the last kilometer of what I've trained for. It has to be one of the fastest splits I've done. I put my all in. We completed the race. I didn't get the 4 hours, 30 minutes I was hoping for, but 4 hours, 46 minutes doesn't seem too bad to me now, does it? A lot of people helped me while training for this marathon. I just want to say a couple thanks.
First of all, I want to say thank you to God. Then I want to say thank you to myself. Thank you to Coach Bennett and the Nike Run Club app. Helped me a lot. Thank you to my good friend Zodo for the few times we ran together. Thank you to my friend Victor and my friend Utibe for coming through for me on the day of my marathon. Meant a lot. Also, thank you to all of my friends that showed me support, like online, on WhatsApp, on Snapchat, that could have been there but probably had like other things on their schedule. I really still appreciate that you had me in mind. Then I want to say thank you to my friend Kel. I met him on the race. He was doing like 10 kilometers. It was a random meetup, yeah. Felt very nice. Thank you to my mom, my family, dad. It was overwhelming support and love from like everyone around me. I thank you to everyone that ran that race, whether the 10 kilometer, but more especially the 42 kilometers. You were part of my journey, every single one of you, and I was part of your journey. And it's funny how I could say the marathon was the most stressful thing I've ever done, but still the most beautiful thing I've ever done in my life.